Prabowo Subianto wins Indonesia's presidency with first-round majority. And Blinken tours West Asia as war pushes Gaza towards famine. You're watching World Today, I'm Brendan Lepal. Vaughan Gething was elected the first black leader of Wales on Wednesday when lawmakers in the devolved Welsh administration voted to make him First Minister. The 50-year-old said the country of 3 million people, which is part of the United Kingdom, had become the first nation anywhere in Europe to be led by a black person. Gething succeeds Mark Drakeford, 69, who stepped down on Tuesday. He had been First Minister since December 2018. Gething was announced as the winner of the Welsh Labour election on Saturday. Labour heads the administration in Cardiff, and his appointment by Welsh Assembly members on Wednesday was seen as a foregone conclusion. Gething was born in Zambia to a white father from Wales and a black Zambian mother. Gething's elections heralds the latest political transition in the UK, and for the first time, none of the leaders of its four government is a white man. UK Prime Minister Rishi Sunak is of Indian descent, while the parents of Scotland's pro-independence First Minister, Humza Yousaf, migrated from Pakistan. Yousaf took office last year, while Michelle O'Neill made history last month by becoming Northern Ireland's first Irish nationalist leader. In 1998, Tony Blair's Labour government devolved a number of powers, including healthcare, transport and social policies, from London to new legislatures in Edinburgh, Cardiff and Belfast. The UK government sets policies for England and retains control over countrywide issues such as foreign policy and defence. A Texas law that would allow state police to arrest and deport migrants who cross illegally into the United States from Mexico was again placed on hold, the latest in an ongoing legal back and forth over its fate. The administration of Democratic President Joe Biden has strongly opposed the law known as Senate Bill 4, arguing that the federal government has authority over immigration matters, not individual states. White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre said in a statement that the SB 4 will not only make communities in Texas less safe, it will also burden law enforcement and sow chaos and confusion at the southern border. A federal judge last month temporarily blocked the law passed by the Republican majority in the Texas state legislature, saying it, quote, conflicts with key provisions of federal immigration law. But a conservative-dominated appeals court said SB 4 could go into force unless the Supreme Court ruled otherwise. The nation's highest court, which has a 6-3 conservative majority, issued a temporary stay on SB 4 earlier this month, but lifted it Tuesday, allowing it to take effect while legal challenges play out in lower courts. Venezuela's Attorney General on Wednesday accused opposition leader Maria Corina Machado of involvement in destabilizing actions aimed at fomenting an uprising over her disqualification from July presidential elections. Attorney General Tariq William Saab, a close ally of President Nicolas Maduro, also announced the arrest of 2 more Machado aides in the latest legal assault on her presidential ambitions. The Latin American country goes to the polls on 28 July with Maduro seeking re-election after 11 years in office, marked by sanctions, economic collapse, and accusations of widespread repression. Machado has been disqualified by Maduro-aligned courts on charges of corruption, widely dismissed as spurious, and for supporting Western sanctions against the regime. She won an opposition primary with 92% of votes cast last October. But since the Supreme Court ruling upholding her disqualification from the ballot, Machado cannot hold public office for 15 years, nor can the man widely seen as her natural replacement, 2-time presidential candidate Enrique Capriles. Machado, 56, has accused Maduro of violating an agreement signed by the government and the opposition in Barbados last year to hold a free and fair vote in 2024 with international observers present. But she has refused to bow out for now, despite seeming to have little chance of overcoming the hurdles the state has placed in her way. Still to come, talks push on in Haiti as gangs tighten grip in Port-au-Prince. Stay tuned. U.S. top diplomat Antony Blinken touched down Wednesday in the West Asia region to bolster international efforts to secure a truce in the Israel-Hamas war as the threat of famine looms in besieged Gaza. Global concern has mounted over the military conflict now in its sixth month, in which Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has vowed to destroy Hamas. The United States, long Israel's top ally, has ratcheted up its diplomatic efforts and increasingly voiced concern over humanitarian issues. Blinken, who touched down in regional powerhouse Saudi Arabia on Wednesday afternoon, has warned that Gaza's entire population is suffering severe levels of acute food insecurity. U.S. State Department spokesperson Matthew Miller said Blinken will meet government leaders in Israel on Friday to discuss the release of hostages and humanitarian aid. Meanwhile, the latest flare-ups included an Israel assault on Gaza City's Al-Shifa hospital complex, an area crowded with thousands of patients and people seeking refuge where Israel says Palestinian fighters are holed up. Overnight bombing and battle across the territory killed 90 people, said the health ministry in Hamas-run Gaza, which put the overall Palestinian death toll at close to 32,000. UN agencies have warned that Gaza's 2.4 million people are on the brink of famine, and UN Rights Chief Volker Turk said Israel may be using starvation as a method of war. The dire plight of Palestinians has pushed negotiators back to the table in Qatar to try to thrash out a temporary truce and a deal to free the remaining hostages held in the Gaza Strip. And over in the West Bank, an Israeli strike on Wednesday killed 3 Palestinians in a car. AFP journalists saw a crowd gathered around the charred remains of a vehicle and blood on the pavement in the northern West Bank city of Jenin. The military said it had eliminated senior freedom fighter Ahmed Barakat, whom it accused of a May 2023 attack that killed an Israeli settler. According to a military statement, 3 other fighters were also struck in the attack. According to the Palestinian ministry, the strike killed 3 people, including Barakat, and wounded 1. Islamic Jihad's armed wing confirmed in a statement that Barakat, whom it said headed its military operations in Jenin, had been killed. Emergency workers sprayed blood off the streets with a hose after the strike, while a drone could be heard buzzing overhead. Jenin and its adjacent refugee camp are a stronghold of armed Palestinian groups opposing Israel, which has occupied the West Bank since 1967. Israeli troops regularly carried out attacks into Palestinian communities, but until several months ago had rarely struck the West Bank from the air. Violence in the territory has intensified since war broke out between Israel and Hamas. According to the Ramallah-based health ministry, Israeli troops and settlers have killed at least 435 Palestinians in the West Bank since the Gaza war began. French President Emmanuel Macron launched a major operation against drug trafficking in Marseille and other cities, saying that gangland battles that last year left dozens dead had made life a misery for residents. On a visit to the southern port city that this year will host some Paris 2024 Olympic events, Macron said almost 100 people had been detained in the first raids. Macron wrote on X that operations could be launched in about 10 French cities, adding that it would be an XXL cleanup. Marseille has been particularly badly hit in turf wars for control of lucrative drug dealing across France. Some 49 people were killed and 123 people injured in drug-related violence in 2023. 4 of the dead were caught in the crossfire of gun battles. As part of the crackdown, some 4,000 police will be mobilized in Marseille and surrounding areas for the next 3 weeks. About 900 were stationed in the city on Monday for the start of an operation that resulted in 98 arrests in 2 days, while 71 people taken into custody and 4 guns seized. The prefecture said the 385,000 euros in cash and 8.7 kilograms of cannabis and 339 grams of cocaine was seized. Macron told residents in the northern district of La Castellane, one of the worst-hit areas, that the operation will try to destroy the networks and the traffickers. Negotiations to form a transitional council to govern Haiti advanced yesterday as the United States airlifted more citizens to safety from gang violence that has plunged the impoverished country into chaos. Haiti has been rocked by a surge of unrest since February when armed groups raided a prison, releasing thousands of inmates as they demanded Prime Minister Ariel Henry resign. Last week, Henry agreed to step down and allowed the formation of an interim government, but negotiations have been slow despite pressure from neighboring Caribbean countries and the United States. A Haitian government source told AFP that names of the council had yet to have been given to outgoing Prime Minister Henry as the talks among political parties and others dragged on. President Jovenel Moïse, who appointed Henry, was assassinated in 2021 and never replaced. The council would name an interim prime minister to oversee the country's first election since 2016. Haiti's capital, Port-au-Prince, has been overrun by armed groups for weeks, with many police stations, power stations, public buildings and facilities attacked, and dead bodies left strewn in the streets. Intense clashes and shooting erupted Tuesday and Wednesday in the Pétionville, suburb of the capital, according to residents, with locals barricading roads to protect themselves and stop gang access. The violence has exacerbated an already grim humanitarian situation, with warnings of famine, malnutrition, and the collapse of basic services. The Reddit social network said Wednesday it had priced at the top of its expected range ahead of going public on the New York Stock Exchange, in a sign of enthusiasm by investors. Reddit say to debut Thursday under the ticker RDDT will be made public at $34 a share, which would value the platform at around $6.4 billion. The entry of Reddit comes as the tech sector is seeing a big slowdown in IPOs since the US Federal Reserve started hiking interest rates. With easy financing scarce, Silicon Valley is seeing a dearth of companies ready to make the big leap to go public, with Pinterest being the latest social media company to do so in 2019. San Francisco-based Reddit first filed for its IPO in 2021 when the market was hot thanks to a COVID-linked growth boom for tech, but the attempt stalled as the internet economy cooled. Reddit, unlike Facebook or former Twitter X, is siloed into about 100,000 subject-focused chat rooms known as subreddits, making it more specialized and a place where posts are less prone to going viral. Even so, Reddit has 73 million average daily users and 267 million monthly users, mainly in the United States, according to its filing to US regulators. Content in subreddits is mostly moderated independently, with the site demanding a basic standard that users must adhere to, making the site less policed or centralized than Facebook or TikTok. Li Zijia moves into Swiss Open second round. That and more after this short break.
Kelayakan Piala Dunia 2026 dan Piala Asia 2027 beraksi di pusingan kedua dalam kumpulan D dengan kedudukan ke-24 terbaik Asia. Aksi Harimau Malaya kini dengan misi yang nyata.
Peluang kedua untuk Malaysia dan jaringan lock in the box mencetuskan jaringan yang kita perlukan.
Jumaat 22 Mac, Oman bertemu Malaysia 1.30 pagi, saluran OK dan saluran sukan RTM. Saksikan juga secara penstreaman langsung di RTM Klik.
And welcome back. World number 10, Li Zijia, got his Swiss Open campaign off to a winning start on Wednesday, seeing off Taiwan's Yang Su Li to book his place in the last 16. Zijia needed 42 minutes to carve out a 21-19, 21-12 win against up-and-coming Su Li, the world number 30. The 26-year-old Malaysian faced some resistance from his 22-year-old opponent during the latter stages of the opening game, having to play catch-up twice at 17-14 and 19-17. But the former All-England champion showed resilience to clinch the following 4 rallies to give him an early advantage. The second game proved to be a loop-sided affair, with Zijia leading from the start until the end. Suli recently showed that he was no pushover against top-ranked rivals, beating the likes of world number 9 HS Pranoy of India during last week's All England. Setia will next face India's K. Surikant or Taiwan's Wang Chuwei. Meanwhile, another single player, Leong Junhao, had to pack his bag early on after suffering defeat at the hand of India's Lakshya Sen. Both men showed great tenacity and determination to move into the second round, with Junhao able to drag the game into rubber. However, Sen was proven to have the upper hand, finishing the game at 19-21, 21-15, 11-21. And in tennis, two-time Miami Open champion Andy Murray fought back for a 4-6, 6-3, 6-4 win over struggling Italian Matteo Berrettini in the first round at Hard Rock Stadium on Wednesday. Berrettini needed medical attention near the end of the second set after appearing to almost faint on court, but he battled on. The Italian recently returned to the tour after an injury-plagued 2023, reaching the final of a challenger event in Phoenix. He broke Murray's serve in the first game of the match and was in firm control of the opening set. But he faded badly in the second and called a medical timeout, went 5-2 down after walking off the court looking dizzy. The weather in Miami was not particularly hot or humid and more pleasantly mild than has often been the case at the tournament in past years. The 27-year-old former world number 6 put up a better fight in the third, but a solid-looking Murray saw the match out in 2 hours and 47 minutes. Murray made just 20 unforced errors, while Berrettini committed 44, as the Scot clinched his fourth consecutive first-round win. Murray, who won the Miami Open in 2009 and 2013, will meet 29-seeded Argentine Thomas Martin Echeverry in the next round.
4-6, 6-3, 6-4.
Meanwhile, Sloane Stephens celebrated her birthday in style as she beat Germany's Angelique Kerber 6-2, 6-3 yesterday in a one-sided battle between former Grand Slam champions to reach the second round of the Miami Open. Stephens, 31-year-old Florida native and the 2018 Miami Open champion, converted 4 of her 8 break-point chances against Kerber and dropped serve once in the 70-minute match. World number 41 Stephens was barely tested in the first set, which she wrapped up in style with a second break of the frame. This one coming at love. Kerber, a 3-time Grand Slam winner who returned to the tour in January after an 18-month maternity break, was looking to build on her 4th-round showing at Indian Wells. She appeared more comfortable early in the second set, but was ultimately undone by a rash of errors. Stephens took advantage and consolidated a break for a 5-2 lead, and then went on to serve out the match with a routine hole that she punctuated with a forehand at the open court. With the win, Stephens improved her 6-2 in head-to-head meetings with Kerber. Up next for the 2017 US Open champion will be a clash with Romania's Sorana Cîrstea. And in cycling, Tadej Pogačar breezed to a second consecutive victory to take the third stage of the Tour of Catalonia on Wednesday and widened his advantage as race leader. The 2-time Tour de France winner followed Spaniard Mikel Landa's attack with under 8 kilometers to go and then flew past him in another show of strength after his dominant performance to claim stage 2. It was another mountainous Pyrenees route from San Juan de las Abadesses to Portena, over 176.7 kilometers, and the Slovenian UAE Team Emirates rider capitalized by putting nearly a minute into Landa. The Sudal Quick-Step rider came in second and is also second overall, with Italian Antonio Tiberi third over the line. Despite his strong performance, Pogačar said he was tired in the final kilometers. Pogačar extended his lead at the top of the general classification to 2 minutes and 27 seconds and is firm favourite to win the race ahead of an ambitious tilt at the 2024 Giro Tour double. Bora Hansgrohe rider Alexander Vlasov third trails Landa by 28 seconds, while Frenchman Lenny Martinez of Groupama FDJ is fourth. Thursday, stage 4, a 169-kilometer run from Sot to Lleida, is expected to end in a bunch sprint, with the second half of the race almost entirely on flat terrain. In other news, Spanish police searched the Spanish Football Federation (RFEF) headquarters at its former president Luis Rubiales' house, among other locations, as part of an investigation into alleged corruption and other crimes. According to Spanish media, the operation is part of a court investigation into contracts signed by former Federation chief Rubiales to take the Spanish Super Cup to Saudi Arabia. The contracts signed are worth 40 million euros a year and were arranged with former footballer Gerard Piqué's company Cosmos acting as an intermediary. The operation involves searches of various locations across Spain, as well as the RFEF's base in Las Rozas, on the edge of Madrid, and Rubiales' property in Granada, although the 46-year-old is currently outside of Spain. The sources said that 7 arrests were expected in the operation, as well as 5 further people investigated, while 11 homes would be searched. Spanish media said no arrests were made at the Federation's headquarters, where the Spanish national team is currently based ahead of international friendlies. The Spanish Super Cup took place for the first time in Saudi Arabia in 2020. After the following edition returned to Spain because of the COVID-19 pandemic, the subsequent 3 competitions were back in Saudi Arabia. Spanish prosecutors opened a probe in 2022 into the Super Cup deal after audio recordings between Rubiales and Piqué were leaked, in which they spoke of multi-millions value commissions. Thierry Henry's France side are firm favourites to progress following a kind group draw for men's football at the 2024 Olympic Games on Wednesday, as the hosts wait to see if Kylian Mbappe will be made available. Le Bleu are in Group A of the 16-team tournament with New Zealand, USA and the winners of the AFC-CAF playoff, as they seek to win a second Olympic gold after success in 1984. It is understood that Paris Saint-Germain superstar Mbappe is also very keen to represent his country at the Olympics, but he would likely have little time to rest after Euro 2024. Football's world governing body, FIFA, does not oblige clubs to release players for the Olympics, which could complicate Mbappe's situation even more. The World Cup winners' chances of featuring the host squad as one of their 3 over-23 players seem all but extinct. However, fellow 2018 world champion Antoine Griezmann may still feature despite his recent ankle injury. But with under-23 talents like Eduardo Camavinga, Bradley Barcola and Warren Zaïre-Emery also potentially at his disposal, Henry can well expect to top the group regardless.
Hai, saya Syah.
Saya Hanura.
Kami akan kongsikan cara mendaftar padu. Jom ikuti langkah ini.
Langkah pertama, isi maklumat asas seperti nama penuh, nombor kad pengenalan, poskod, nombor telefon dan email. Langkah kedua, masukkan kod one time password OTP yang telah diterima melalui SMS atau email yang telah didaftarkan. Langkah ketiga, di bahagian ini anda perlu tetapkan kata laluan mengikut kriteria yang telah ditetapkan.
Jangan lupa anda perlu membuat pengesahan identiti. Langkah pertama, ambil gambar MyCard bahagian hadapan. Langkah kedua, ambil gambar MyCard bahagian belakang. Langkah ketiga, ambil gambar swafoto atau selfie pemilik MyCard. Sila tunggu sekejap dan sekiranya keluar paparan ini, pengesahan identiti anda telah berjaya.
Jangan lupa ya, kita kena kemas kini, okey? Di bahagian ini, anda perlu kemas kini maklumat asas, alamat kediaman, maklumat pendidikan, maklumat isi rumah, pekerjaan, pendapatan, komitmen dan bantuan. Sebelum membuat perakuan, pastikan butiran yang diperlukan diisi dengan lengkap.
Tahniah, anda telah berjaya mendaftar akaun padu.
Awak tu dah daftar ke belum?
Nak pergi daftar lagi.
Kementerian Perdagangan Dalam Negeri dan Kos Sara Hidup KPDN sedang mengadakan program jualan ramah madani di semua kawasan Parlimen dan Dewan Undangan Negeri. Anda boleh dapatkan barangan keperluan harian pada harga yang berpatutan dan diskaun sehingga 30%. Datuk nak pergi mana ni?
Pastinya ke program Jualan Rahmah Madani. Kepada anda yang ingin mendapatkan maklumat, tarikh dan lokasi penganjuran program Jualan Rahmah Madani di sekitar anda, sila layari portal KPDN. Jangan lepaskan peluang ini. Jom kita nikmati diskaun 10 hingga 30% dalam PJR Madani.
Macam-macam ada. Rahmah itu
Berkat.
Wrapping up world today, and here's a recap. Blinken tours West Asia as war pushes Gaza towards famine. Tune in to Malaysia Tonight, coming up at 8:30 p.m. on TV1 and saluran Berita RTM. From river to the sea, Palestine will be free. I'm Brendan Paul. Stay tuned to TV2. Take care.